Hi everyone, welcome to the English Podcast Academy. We're here to help you improve your English listening and reading comprehension skills through interesting stories and discussions. I'm Becca, and joining me are my co-hosts Ron and Jessica. How are you both doing today?
Hey Becca, I'm really excited about this story, but full disclosure, it probably will make your stomach uneasy.
Same here. This sounds like a story that will get us thinking about boundaries, cultural norms, and what it really means to be a good neighbor. I can't wait to dive in.
I hope you are all ready for the shocking story name, 'cause here it is. Am I wrong for refusing to store my neighbor's placenta in my freezer? All right, let's jump right in. I'm Taylor, 27, and I live in a multifamily house with several apartments. My boyfriend Mark and I have lived here for only a few months, and we barely know our neighbors. There's a group chat for the building, mostly used for sharing updates or emergencies. I thought it would be a great way to be a good neighbor and make connections, since I'm still trying to get to know people. Yesterday, one of my neighbors, Sarah, posted a message in the group chat. She and her boyfriend, Alex, who are both in their mid-30s, explained that their fridge had broken down, and they asked if anyone had space in their freezers to store their frozen items temporarily. I figured, why not? I wanted to make a good impression, so I told them we could store some of their things in our freezer. When Sarah arrived, she brought a few bags of frozen food, some vegetables, frozen dinners, the usual stuff. But she also handed me a large Tupperware container, and as we were making small talk, she casually mentioned that it held her placenta. Apparently, she had saved it after her child was born 5 years ago and intended to bury it as part of a personal ritual, but she hadn't found the right time or place yet. I was completely caught off guard. Don't get me wrong, I totally respect different beliefs and rituals, and I support women choosing what's meaningful for them in childbirth. But here I was, standing in my doorway, holding a neighbor's placenta that I didn't even know existed 5 minutes ago. I had never even met her in person before this, and now she was asking me to store something so personal and, well, intimate. I told her that I'd be happy to store her other frozen items, but that I felt uncomfortable with keeping her placenta in my freezer. She didn't take it well. She argued that it was no different from any other frozen item, and that it was securely wrapped, so there was no reason for me to refuse. She said I wasn't honoring my promise to help and that I was being a bad neighbor. She seemed genuinely upset, saying I was shaming her for something natural and meaningful. She ended up taking all of her frozen food back and left, obviously angry. She even made a few loud comments as she walked away, calling me judgmental and a lousy neighbor. Now, I told my boyfriend, and he agreed that I shouldn't have to store something I'm uncomfortable with. But a few of my friends are on Sarah's side. They think I should have just sucked it up and helped her out, and that the placenta wouldn't even touch my food. Now, I'm wondering if I was in the wrong. Should I have just gone along with it and kept her placenta? Am I the one being difficult here?
Wow, Becca, that's quite the story. I can definitely see why Taylor was uncomfortable. I mean, she's only known her neighbor for a few minutes, and now she's suddenly being asked to store something as personal as a placenta.
I totally get her reaction. I think most people would feel a bit awkward with that request. Storing food is one thing, but when it comes to something that personal, and that's been around for 5 years, yeah, I'd say that's asking a lot.
Exactly. And Taylor even offered to store the other items. She just had a boundary with this one specific thing. It doesn't seem like she was trying to be rude. In fact, it sounds like she was being polite about it.
But here's where it gets interesting. From Sarah's point of view, this is probably a deeply personal item with cultural or emotional significance. Maybe she's kept it all these years because she's attached to it in some way, and Taylor's refusal could feel like a rejection of something very meaningful.
Good point, Jessica. It sounds like Sarah felt misunderstood, which can be tough. But still, boundaries are boundaries. Just because something is meaningful to one person doesn't mean someone else is obligated to participate in it.
Totally. And maybe it would have helped if Sarah explained the situation in the group chat first. Just saying she needed space for frozen items didn't really prepare Taylor for the placenta surprise. A heads up could have gone a long way.
So, let's get into it. Who do you think should apologize here? Should Taylor go back and apologize to Sarah, Or does Sarah owe Taylor an apology for putting her in an uncomfortable situation?
I think they both might have room to apologize. Taylor could say sorry if her refusal came off as harsh, even if she wasn't intending to offend. But honestly, I think Sarah should also acknowledge that her request was unusual and maybe a bit presumptive.
Agreed. It's all about communication. Sarah probably didn't realize how Taylor would feel, and Taylor didn't know how significant the placenta was to Sarah. I think both of them could benefit from a little understanding.
And what do you think, listeners? Let's ask some questions to get your thoughts. Here's the first one. Have you ever been in a similar situation with a neighbor? How did you handle it? Comment below if you have any advice for Taylor.
Here's another one. Do you think Taylor should apologize to Sarah, or was she within her rights to refuse? We'd love to hear your perspectives on this boundary issue.
This was a fascinating discussion. Thanks, Ron and Jessica, for sharing your thoughts, and thank you to our listeners for joining us. Remember, setting boundaries is a personal choice, and sometimes it's okay to say no.
And last question, if you were Taylor, would you be okay with storing something so personal, or do you think it's reasonable to draw the line? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Definitely. And this story shows how communication is key in understanding each other's perspectives. We hope you all learned something today that will help you in your own relationships.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to English Podcast Academy for more interesting stories and discussions. And be sure to leave your comments below. We can't wait to hear your answers.
See you next time, everyone.